Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Axion,
I'm Sid.
and we are finally moving on to World 7 in Mario Adventure as we wrap up our discussion of Rumpelstiltskin by the Brothers Grimm.
Oh hey, Mario's getting into some multi-level marketing.
I did actually remember this one.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Key gotten. So, nicely done. It's been a bit of a chat thus far. We've gone over some standard storytelling tropes for fairy tales and the like. Common things that you'd run into in a lot of these stories. One thing that I think we have left to talk about is, well, where's the king in all this?
Counting the gold he got spun out of straw. I mean, that seems to be his primary focus in the entire story, is just, I like gold. Gold is nice.
Love gold.
Gold. But yeah, the king kind of has some weird priorities. Like, we don't see anything about, like, him falling in love with his future queen. Just, I like the fact that she can make gold. Even though, like, and I know, like, yeah, let's beef up the treasury, but at the same time, currency is based on scarcity, so you kind of have to be careful about introducing a vast supply of a currency into your kingdom, or your banknotes are not going to be worth a whole lot, since, especially because I imagine the treasury is not going to be shared outside, which therefore means that it's just going to be hoarded and not actually, used as currency. So, I don't know, I'm off on a sidetrack on that already, but it just seems kind of odd that when talking to a poor miller who tells him, yeah, my daughter can do this impossible thing and make gold, his reaction just seems to be, hold up, gotta go check this out. Like, regardless of which translation you're looking at, where it's the miller outright says she can do this versus the king misinterprets it, is the kingdom in that poor a condition that he has to drop everything to investigate this ridiculous rumor? Is he that bored? Does he have nothing to do for being a king? Am I going crazy?
And we never really get an answer other than when he sees the miller's daughter pull this trick off, he gets greedy and pushes her through the next 2 days. To the point where I don't like this level. Let's go to this level instead. This is the same thing, but worse!
So you literally have a level where I can say it could be worse, could be raining?
Yes, apparently.
Excellent.
I didn't go fast enough. But yeah, we get nothing of the king beyond he is greedy for more gold after seeing the miller's daughter pull the trick off the first time, which of course is done by Rumpelstiltskin, not by the princess herself, or the daughter herself. To the point that he puts her through 2 more days of this under the same threat of, do this or I will execute you, with successively bigger rooms full of straw, solely because of greed. And the
Hey, there is something we can say here. Getting rid of all those straws is gonna save some turtles.
oh ho 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 ho.
Mario hates this.
Mario does hate this. Rah! This is such an annoying puzzle.
Yeah, the simplest way to put this is effectively that the king is nothing more than a plot device for the queen to have some sort of stakes involved.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as a character, he exists sort of barely.
Yep.
Not really much else to say. It just seems very weird that his priorities are so heavily skewed toward greed, especially in a story where, like, that's clearly painted as a bad thing through the lens of Rumpelstiltskin. Like, Rumpelstiltskin playing the games he does is what gets him in trouble. Like, if he could, like, he was offered, like, all sorts of valuable things. If he had taken anything she had offered other than the child, he wouldn't have, ripped himself in half. And the king is just like, no repercussions are, faced for essentially instigating the entire thing.
And more to the point, stupid thwomp. In addition to that, rather, he is completely absent for the rest of the plot after marrying the miller's daughter and making her queen. So, when Rumpelstiltskin returns a year later and is threatening to take away the child that is presumably his crown prince, where is the king? It says that the queen sends out all the messengers and agents to seek out names to try and win the guessing game. The king is not involved in any way.
Maybe if the sun was made of gold.
It's just an interesting oversight, at least if you ask me, that the king is doing nothing to ensure that this fairy that came from nowhere doesn't run off with his kid. Not again.
Here's a plot twist for you. The king and Rumpelstiltskin are never seen in the room at the same time. We never have the king's name. The king is Rumpelstiltskin and just really wanted to have an excuse to marry a commoner. This is, of course, stupid. But it made me laugh. So did that. Ha ha ha, I laugh at your misery.
I don't like the stupid bomb monsters.
They're called bob-ombs.
I thought I was safe.
No one is safe on the 4th of July.
Why is there snow now?
Happy New Year! Yeah, it is kind of surprising that it's the queen who sends out the, please find this name for me, and the king does nothing. But,
is this seriously the solution? I can't believe this is working.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure you've jinxed it. Next time on another episode of Luigi Wins Mario Party by doing absolutely nothing.
But yeah, speaking of doing absolutely nothing... I knew that was going to happen. This is going to be a fun world. Anyway, where were we? Something about the king doing absolutely nothing.
And you were saying, speaking of doing absolutely nothing, and then you got
Trash.
baseball T-balled into the ground. Yes.
So we have a situation where the king does next to nothing, or outright nothing, depending on how you read it. And on one hand, I understand it's part of the story that the queen finds her own solution. Oh, thank goodness.
Well, maybe it's because the king's advisor is Dios, so he's been trained to do absolutely nothing. Has it been too long since we read Pyramids?
No. I just need to find the right spot to stand. I was afraid of that. This is harder than it looks. But yeah, in seriousness, it really just comes down to, at least I think what it comes down to is that the story is trying to focus on the queen as, I don't want to say solving her own problems, because she doesn't really. She solves her first problem by paying off Rumpelstiltskin to take care of it for her.
After he offers, I know.
Yes. But point being, he still takes care of the problem for her, rather than her figuring out a solution on her own. And then the second part is solved because one of her messengers just happens to be in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
Again, I can give her a little more credit here, in that she gets some credit for being the one to send the messengers out in the first place. But it's still not really her who solves the problem. She just happens to have somebody out doing the work who happens to be in the right place at the right time. So, it gets back to what we said in the very first episode, that this is a fairy story that doesn't seem to have a moral. And as a result... Why is it still icy? As a result, you end up with, well, what is the message this is trying to send? Because the initial conclusion might be, well, the king doesn't get involved because the story's about the queen solving her own problems, but then she doesn't solve her own problems, as we said. So what are we supposed to glean from this? What are we supposed to take from this? That fairies are just jerks and don't take their help even if they offer it, even if the alternative is death?
That royalty always makes everybody else fix their problems for them, because what are you going to do about it? Get executed?
You know what? That's a really good moral.
I was kidding, but okay.
But it works. Because that is probably one of the few consistent things that can be said about the story, is that royalty gets themselves into trouble and has to rely on outside forces to fix it. Either the king wants wealth and needs the Miller girl through Rumpelstiltskin to provide it, and then the queen wants to keep her child and has to rely on the skill of her messengers and a bit of luck to gain access to Rumpelstiltskin's name to win his challenge. I'm not really sure what else we could possibly take out of this.
Don't know.
And of course, you could always just fall back on, oh, it's just a story. But that...
Say to myself, it's just a fairy tale, I should really just read
Yes,
that.
I was thinking of that too.
Oh, we learned from the Snow Queen that crows do know things. Crow? Okay, I don't know what else to go with here. We're getting silly at this point.
And, well, a little bit of silly is probably a good way to wrap up a fairy tale. So we will call Rumpelstiltskin a wrap here. And next time we come back to this, maybe we'll get through this desert area and all these little levels and finish Mario Adventure with our next look back at whatever next fairy tale we decide to pursue. In the meantime, we'll be returning to the world of Scadrial next time with the second book of Mistborn. So see y'all then.
Bye!